Yo, what up? Today I have another opinion piece video for you guys. This time I want to talk about the #1 problem that is causing Hunt Showdown's foundation when it comes to player base to crumble. I am talking about people leaving the game or not playing the game even though they would like to play Hunt. Hunt Showdown has issues like bugs, optimization, the new UI, or people wanting more content more frequently. While I do think that all those are valid complaints, and I understand people being upset about them, I do know the developers are actively working on all of that, and patch 2.3, the last event patch, was a great step in the right direction by Crytek to make the game better in its core. And the game is in a great state currently, at least in my opinion. And a better UI rework is basically 90% done and will be coming very soon. We have seen that in a developer blog in the past already. I believe that one of the biggest problems Hunt has currently is that the game is not fun to play or significantly less fun to play when you do not have friends to play with, because randoms and solo gameplay are in a bad state, to a degree that most people don't even want to boot up Hunt unless they have someone to queue up with. This video is mostly based around how to fix randoms. If you don't wanna hear me yap in my introduction how I currently feel about the game, skip to 9 minutes and 43 to hear my take on how to make randoms a better experience overall. You will probably wonder like how is Crytek supposed to fix that, like Crytek cannot make you make friends to play with, but we're gonna get into that and I will explain. First of all though, credit where credit is due. I have to say that randoms getting their own voice communications was a great step in the right direction and a huge upgrade. But it is not enough. Let me draw you a picture. You started playing Hunt with your group of friends, but since you started playing 2 or 3 events ago or longer, all your friends have moved on to different games or only play Hunt Showdown when new content, aka a new event, is dropping. But play other games outside of events because they simply like to play variety. Now, even though you love playing Hunt, you don't really have anyone to play with unless a new event starts. This is the #1 complaint I hear in my chat ever since I started streaming or creating content for Hunt Showdown. All my friends stop playing or are taking a break from Hunt, and I don't have anyone to play with, and I'm not skilled enough or have no interest to play solo in its current state, and randoms are too frustrating for me. First, I want to talk about solo gameplay. I will dedicate an entire video about the state of solo gameplay in my next opinion piece video, but let me summarize the issue with solos currently. If we go back 2 years from today and even further, the developers made solo gameplay very accessible for big parts of the player base by adding self-revive to Necromancer and trade benefits for solos like 10 seconds of Darkside scan in combination with a Magpie, 50 meters serpent range for solos and heavy rewards for winning matches as a solo player. And all that while having a significant MMR modifier to match solos against half to 1 full MMR bracket below their normal MMR star rank, to make sure people can have fun while playing solo. I do not want to talk about that being balanced or how it was broken, because certain parts of the old system were most definitely broken, while others weren't, but like I said, that will be a different video. But I think we can all agree that solos before the engine upgrade were easier and thus more fun to give it a try and learn it. Since the engine upgrade, solos are hard even for solo veterans like me. And the majority of the player base that used to play solo stopped doing so. AKA they do not want to play solo, period. Not even once. They rather not play Hunt than play solo. And that is the issue with it. People rather not play Hunt, even though a little bit over a year ago they totally would. Basically, people do not play Hunt unless their friends are online and they can play Hunt with their friends, which is a very fun experience. They love Hunt, they don't hate it, they just don't want to play it by themselves. Then, on top of that, randoms should be the mode that people go for while waiting for their friends, or the mode to play when you have nobody to play with, but randoms have such a bad reputation in the community that a lot of people do not want to play it. I think most of you guys are listening who play randoms or have played randoms in the past know why a lot of people avoid it. And everyone who plays randoms has at least one story to tell about a person who completely ruined their day by being a terrible teammate fully on purpose. I am not talking about somebody not hitting their shots, or somebody not being able to revive you, or someone simply playing the game differently than you do. This is all parts of being random, since everyone has a different way to play Hunt Showdown. I'm talking about the people running to extract as soon as you die to save the hunter, the sniper player who stays 300 meters away to pad their KD and doesn't help you at all, the people who leave 0.1 seconds after they die without even seeing if their teammate can revive them, without you, the guy that is alive, having even a chance to save them or to clutch a fight, and the many other ways people are being terrible teammates 100% on purpose, which would give them a penalty in any other random matchmaking based game out there, but in Hunt they do not even get a slap on the wrist. So they never change the way they play, and it can be very frustrating to have those people on your team, and some people will simply never touch randoms ever again after they bumped into one of those players. Or the player playing toxic will continue playing randoms and eventually has like a little hit list of 10 to 20 players that they made quit playing randoms. This state of randoms has caused a situation in which a lot of players simply avoid playing randoms. Not everyone, but I think even the people who still play randoms know why a lot of people don't. And I want to say that I personally play randoms a lot on stream, and in 70 to 90% of my matches I get great teammates that talk, we have fun, we have good matches, we don't win all the time, but we're having a good time overall. But I also have to say that at least once per stream, when I do play randoms, I do get that one guy that would most definitely make me stop playing for the day if I wasn't streaming and I could laugh and joke about it with my chat. And that is the problem. It only takes that one guy to make someone log off for the day, or maybe even never touch randoms again. Because everyone knows nobody is gonna get punished for playing extremely selfish to a degree where they only play randoms because they are too scared to play solo while having zero interest in helping their team in the slightest. And again, this, just like the state of solo gameplay, causes a situation in which players do not play Hunt, do not boot up Hunt, do not play the game, even though they would like to, unless their friends are online or they have somebody else to play with. For example, Baron, this is not his actual name, but somebody who is a very active member in my community, said something in my chat the other day while I briefly talked about this topic. He would love to play Hunt right now, but he's playing Oblivion because solo and randoms are in a state in which he personally does not have fun playing the game. And while he admits that when he sees me playing randoms and getting fun random teammates, it makes him want to give randoms a try, he also sees me getting the players who go out of their way to be bad teammates, which makes him reconsider playing randoms at all. And I even have some people, for example my moderator Mailman, who never played randoms, but he watches me play randoms, and he says based on the experience that I get, he himself doesn't even want to play randoms. A bad state, isn't it? Like when people actively avoid playing randoms, which is a fun experience in most other games. And overall, the system just makes people rather play games like the new Oblivion Remastered, the new Monster Hunter World, Marvel Rivals, or in the past Baldur's Gate 3, while waiting for their friends to jump on. And you might ask yourself, how is this a problem? Because short term it is really not. Since people do play other games, it is normal. But when someone like Baron in my chat constantly plays other video games than Hunt, it is only a matter of time until he will probably move on to a different game. And maybe only give Hunt a try when a new patch drops. Because that is the time when his friends are playing the game as well, and all the problems I just talk about are gone for a few weeks. But outside of that time, He himself also doesn't play Hunt, even though he would really like to. So how do we fix randoms? Or let's ask a different question. What are the #1 complaints about randoms and how do other games solve them? Because randoms are always a mixed bag in every game, but seemingly in most other games they are much more popular than in Hunt. I think the #1 complaint I hear is unfair matchmaking. That means in most cases that people really do not like being the only random team in a lobby, which you can see in team details by looking at modifiers. Pre-made teams of 3, in this example we talk about trios, do not get an MMR modifier, but random teams of 3 do and thus are marked with a downward arrow in the team details screen, which you can see after a match. First of all, the modifier barely does anything, but I do believe that it is okay, because you can't put a 6-star random team into a 5-star lobby because they are random. Especially not with the new communication system, since that would simply not be fair. But how about a system that makes sure that all, or at least the most of the teams in a lobby are also random teams, to even out the odds of people getting not so perfect team setup and mixed team play. On the top we have the matchmaking system for pre-made teams, solos and duos, and I would say also for 2 pre-made teammates matching with a random third, which is a feature we're gonna get in the future. All of those players queue up and get into a match, because why not? There is no issue with that. Of course the skill-based matchmaking system kicks in and tries to make fair matches, but apart from that, everything is working as intended. On the bottom part I have a system that would make randoms feel more fair, or at least I like to think so. Random teams, once they ready up, go into a 30 and up to 90-second queue, during which the game waits for other random teams to ready up, to then put them all into the same match to create a more fair match environment. The waiting times obviously can be adjusted depending on how long or short people are willing to wait. Once the maximum wait time has been reached and not enough random teams have queued up, the system will grab teams out of the normal queue to fill the lobby, and then the match starts. I think this system would be perfect while keeping queue times fairly reasonable. I personally would rather wait 30 to 60 seconds to have a fair match, then have a 20 to 30 minute match during which I struggle because I am the only random team in the lobby and have a major disadvantage from the very first second. I think we can all agree that a system like that should have been created ages ago and is long overdue. The second fix, which doesn't have to happen all at the same time, the fixes I'm presenting here, but they could, doesn't mean they all 3 have to happen together, but it's a second solution. And I know not everybody will agree with my second take on how to fix a random, because it is a report system which punishes bad teammates. And I'm not talking about game bans or being temporarily banned from playing randoms, but being flagged for 3 to 7 days after a certain threshold of reports is being met, and players can dodge a bad teammate without a leaving penalty and maybe a little tick box, like you see here, that automatically avoids being matched with bad teammates. I think actual bans from playing the game are not a good decision, since people should still be able to play Hunt, but I think being dodged for 3 to 7 days when playing randoms and basically having incredibly long queue times would make a lot of players reconsider and think about how they play and why they get reported so much. This won't make everyone change the way they behave when playing randoms, but I think a lot of people would. The numbers for being flagged should be very high to avoid troll reporting or the occasional bad game to have an impact in the bigger picture. As an example, how about if you get reported for being a bad teammate in 40% of your last 50 random matches, which is 20 out of 50 matches, you get flagged as a bad teammate for 7 days. And then the penalty expires and the process restarts. Of course, all those numbers are fully adjustable, and it is more about the principle of such a system. On top of that, we could have a little pop-up after every randoms match, like in Marvel Rivals for example, in which you can give your teammate an upvote, and it would be upvotes only, which will negate a bad teammate report in the very same match. AKA, if you were a good teammate, your one random is gonna give you an upvote because he actually tried, or at least he is highly inclined to do so. Doesn't mean he's guaranteed going to do it, but it is very likely. And the toxic troll can do the extra steps of clicking your name and report you, but won't have an impact at all because the other teammate gave you an upvote. This system is not created to punish the occasional playstyle mismatch or the occasional frustration report, because when you play random, sometimes you guys are not on the same page, and it is what it is. It does not feel good, but everyone tried their best to win and it didn't work out. That's just how randoms work sometimes. This system would be designed to catch the extreme cases, who are being bad teammates on purpose, because someone who wants to extract when their teammates die usually doesn't do that once in a blue moon, but does it every single time because there's an intent behind it, there's a mindset behind it. This goes for team killers, AFKs mid-match, toxic voice and text chatters, and all other unfun behaviors that happen when playing randoms on occasion. Someone who is a good teammate will usually try to win, try to revive their teammates, and either goes down with the ship or clutches it up. While being at least neutral in attitude, a bad teammate is not. In addition to that, I would like to see a notification when one of my reports has been punished or flagged to feel more validated and feel like the system is working. Same goes for all reports like cheating, for example, but that is a different topic. Here's an example also on my rivals. It feels very validating. When I log into the game, I have a little notification in my mailbox that tells me player XYZ has been punished and is restricted from competitive gameplay. A system like that would long-term educate some players to try a little harder to be a better teammate. Maybe once you are halfway to 2/3 to the penalty threshold, you get a little notification that tells you are close to getting a penalty and should probably try a little harder to be a better teammate. To give people a fair chance to avoid having the flagged teammate status before it actually happens. Once people have been punished, the random lobby screen could look something like this. The red background shows the bad teammate, so people who know what they are dealing with, and can decide if they want to give them a try anyways or just dodge and queue again. On top of that, I think a little tick box to avoid being matched with flagged players would be very beneficial to make playing randoms for good teammates less tedious, since constantly dodging because you get the same guy, which can happen at times, is pretty annoying. Even if you don't get punished for it. A system like this is needed because I personally do believe that every extreme case of being a bad random, which is left unpunished, causes more people to not play randoms ever again, or at least log off for the day. All because of that one guy who insists on being a selfish little asshole, sorry for the bad words, and is someone who prioritizes their own fun over their teammates to a degree where he doesn't even see his randoms as humans anymore, and just as NPCs who do not matter. A third fix to the problem, and it could be a solution on top of the report system I just presented, but doesn't have to be, could be a complete standalone version without the report system mentioned previously, would be a timed avoid system. This system exists in Marvel Rivals, or at least that is a game where I saw it for the first time. It works like this. After a match you can open the scoreboard and press avoid player, like you see here. And then you won't get this player on a team for up to 72 hours. You can only have up to 3 players in your avoid list. This could either be somebody who was toxic or throwing the game, but it could mean that maybe you simply do not want to play with that person on your team again. Not because they played bad or didn't try to win, but the way they played and the way you play are simply a complete mismatch. For example, when a shotgun player and a sniper player are on the same team in Hunt Showdown. Then you can avoid the player because even though when both of you try your very best to win the game in your preferred way of playing, you guys play very differently, and it will probably cause a bad experience for both of you, because both of you guys' game plans are so much different from each other. Nobody did anything wrong, but it's simply a bad fit. And for that, an avoid system would be amazing. And I know some people already have like their own little Excel spreadsheets where they keep a list because they play randoms a lot, where they have like a bunch of people written down they do not want to play with. But I feel like an avoid system would be a cool solution. Then again, it's only for 72 hours, and after that you automatically get the system reset and everybody's back in the normal queue. It's basically just to make sure that you're not gonna get that guy in your next match again. On top of that, you can still get matched against them, but for the next 72 hours you won't have them on your team. Marvel Rivals also has the option to reset an avoid timer if desired, but I don't think that is needed. As a conclusion, I think all the ideas I just presented to you are to make sure that randoms are a more fun experience so people can play the game whenever they want to, and when having a bad experience when playing randoms, they do know that there is a system in place to stop things from happening like that again. I personally feel very validated when I get a notification in Marvel Rivals that someone I reported got punished, because it makes me feel like the system is trying to make the game better for me, and that makes the frustration feel less frustrating. A lot of other games like League, Marvel Rivals or Counter-Strike have systems like that in place, and it makes people play the game on a daily, even when randoms will always be a mixed bag. I think randoms and Hunt are in a terrible state as of now, because people know nothing is changing, and the guy that ran to extract while they were on the floor burning can do the very same thing in the very next match without being punished for it ever. And most people simply do not want to deal with that. That being said, randoms will always have issues due to having random teammates who you not have any control over when it comes to loadouts or playstyle, but I think Crytek could do a little more to make sure randoms would be a little bit more fun for everybody. But let me know what you guys think about the video, share your thoughts, positive and negative feedback always welcome. That was it for the video, and I'll talk to you guys next time.